My name is Sydney. I'm with the customer success team in Lark, and today we are joined by Pla. And Pla is also the senior customer success manager who's been with us for over 2 years. And for today's session, this is the first time we are giving an introduction and instruction on how to use attendance well. And for any of you who hasn't tried this feature before, this is something can help you to organize the whole departments and members from your company in a more smart way. We could calculate the working hours, the leave situation to see the time schedule, the shift schedule for your team, for the or the company level. So this could be really something for you to know your employee and to manage in a smarter way. Yes, and I think I'm gonna hand over the mic to Pla and to start the introduction today.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Pla. I'm from the Customer Success Manager. Thank you so much for the introduction. Pleasure is mine to having you guys today. So like Sydney mentioned, we'll talk about attendance today, which is the tool that help you manage your employees' time and leave management in one platform. Okay, I have to be very frank with you that attendance need a lot of attention. Okay, so I really want you guys to pay attention on what I'll walk you through today. Okay, at the end of the session, I know you probably feel this is not easy, but trust me, it's just one time setup that you have to go through for the rest of your time with Lark. So a few things before I start sharing my screen. Okay, I hope 40 plus people that are on this call have these 3 things ready. Okay, first, you need to be at least attendance admin to manage this application. If you're not an attendance admin, if you are Lark admin, the super admin, that's perfectly okay as well. I'll show you how you can add other people as an attendance admin later. Second, you need to have a very detailed information about the operation, the company operation. Okay, what I mean is, if you are the one making decision, that's perfect, right? You can put it on the spot straight away. If not, you need to have somebody, probably from the HR team, who knows the detail in order to help you set up. Okay, that's the second thing. The third thing is you need to have role and responsibility within your team, very detailed. Okay, you need to know who is managing what. That's what I mean. So that it's easier for us to manage moving forward. Okay, so for now, I assume every one of us have these 3 things at hand. But if you don't for today, don't worry. I have the mock-up scenarios for you to play around with. Okay, so just go with the flow. We'll leave some time at the end to reply any questions if you have. So feel free to put in the chat. I think Sydney will help me capture all those questions. All right, perfect. So cool. Let me quickly share my screen here. All right. Okay. So first thing first, how to get to attendance, right? Like I mentioned, we have 2 things. If you are a super admin of the company, perfect. You just need to go to Lark admin. Okay. And then we'll go to app management. Okay. It is under workplace app management. Look for attendance, and then you click on configure. Okay. This app admin console here will bring you straight to attendance admin, which looks like this. Okay. This is the first way if you are a Lark admin. Okay. The second way is if you are already attendance admin, the other option for you to access is this on your Lark. What you can do, you can go to the universal search bar and then search on attendance here. It will bring you straight to Lark admin console as well. So 2 ways that you can have access. All right, so let me work on the browser here. Cool. So the first step that I want to show you is the very bottom on the left-hand side here, which is the administrator settings section. Okay, if you are doing it on together with me, feel free to click on this. Okay, this is where you can come and add more administrator. okay, to manage your attendance. When you click on Add Administrator here, apart from choosing the person who will be managing it, you will also need to know the scope. The scope that I'm referring to is who is this person able to manage? Okay, manage in this case means making change of their attendance settings. That's what I mean by scope. Is it to only certain department or will it be to all the members? Okay. The second thing is who is this administrator managing in terms of attendance group, which I will explain you what attendance group mean in a while. Okay, this will also include whether this new administrator will be managing overtime and leave as well. Okay, simple as that. Rule number 3 that I mentioned, you need to have all the detailed criteria of who is managing what, right, in order to set the administrator correctly. Now, once you're ready, you click on done, and you will have all the list of administrators showing here. Okay, I hope it's okay so far. I really want this session to be quite interactive. So if you have any question or if I speak too fast, feel free to let me know. Along the way, I would love you to give me some emoji so that I know you're still following. Okay. Okay, thank you. The second thing here that I'll walk you through is the app setting. We're still under administrator, under app settings. Okay. Keep in mind that what we're doing here is to make the default settings on attendance. Okay. On this app setting, there are a few things that you can set. First thing here is the request setting. What request setting does is whether or not you want to activate the ability for your member to request for things like correction, the leave, the overtime. Do you allow them to do so? If yes, you have to come here and then activate this request. Simply click on edit here. And this is where you can toggle on or off. I'll explain in detail what this means in a bit, but basically correction is, let's say, for example, I'm supposed to come in to start working. My shift start at 9 a.m. today, but I came in at 9:15, right? And that is actually pretty late, right? Or I mispunched, I forgot to clock in. I can request for corrections. And of course, there will be an approval process behind. Do you approve or reject my request to make change on my attendance clock in time, right? That's what it means here. Okay. The next section is the report settings. Would you like to the employee to be able to see their own detail in the report? If yes, activate this. Okay, and the last one is more on the notification. Notification in this case, it is by default if you enable this 10 minutes and 5 minutes before the clock in time, the employee will receive a notification saying that, oh, it's already 10 minutes before you clock in and 5 minutes before your clock in time, and also 5 minutes before you clock out. After your clock out time, please don't forget to clock out as well. For the answer just now, can we add external candidate? Unfortunately, this is only for people who hold Lark account within your tenant, so the answer is no. Okay, cool. So that is the first thing here, which is the administrator section. Now we're going towards the top here, which is attendance setting at the very top. But the first thing I want you to go and for this step here, I will explain the logic why I do this thing first for you later. I would recommend you to go for the holiday setting first. The reason is we will be working actually from bottoms up here. We'll set the holiday, then we'll go and set the shift, and we'll set the group at the latest. Okay. Andrea, we'll save your question towards the very end, all right? Okay, so let's do holiday. So by default, Lark actually create a calendar holiday for you all already. And we have quite a number. It's really an extensive holiday depending on the country, right? But of course, a lot of company wants to have their own calendar. What you can do is you can create your own calendar. That's not a problem at all. Simply click on the create here, give it a name, okay, and the region. Okay, I will go with the one that I have already created like this. Okay, oopsie. So when you create here, it will ask you, okay, what is the name of your holiday? Okay, what this means is you have to make a list of every holiday that you'll have in 2025 one by one. Okay, this will totally impacted people who, of course, working within the company, especially those who work in shifts, because shift makes a lot. It makes a lot of difference if you're working on work day, off day, or holiday, because it will impact their pay, which I'll explain later. Right. So once you come here, give it a name, choose the start and end date here, and also choose the festival date. Usually what I recommend is to put it one by one. So let's say next week we'll have Chinese New Year, right? Chinese New Year falls on the 29th and ends on the 30th. But we'll put like this, okay? And we'll have CNY here, which I've already entered actually. And in some country, especially China, they have something called working in lieu, which only specific to Chinese company, right? If you do not have any working in lieu, you don't need to fill in anything, and then simply click on confirm. Okay. Once you create, you get a list of holidays listed down here. Okay. For overtime, we'll cover that in a bit. The answer to your question is yes, but we'll have a look at how we set that up later. Okay, so this is how you can create a list of holiday here. Okay, I'll show you on my 2024. These are the holiday that people in my company have, okay, which is slightly too little, only 3 days. Okay, cool. So simple as that, you have already completed your company holiday here. Okay, so before I move on to the next one, I actually wanted to introduce the scenario that we'll be using today. I know some of you probably don't have the detail at hand, so I have the scenario here for you. Okay, let me introduce you to my company, which is called the Best CSM Company Limited. Okay, this company here, we have a working structure as you can see in the image. So we have 3 group of employee. Okay, the first group, which is in yellow, these are the people that work at the HQ, okay, at the headquarters. Basically, they're all office workers, right? The schedule that they work is they're working from Monday to Friday from 9 to 6, right? Like many of us here. Okay. The second group in my company are actually the sales folk. Their time is slightly different from the normal office worker because they'll be running around, meeting people outside, coming in and out from place to place. So their time is actually much more flexible than office people. Their working day is still Monday to Friday, but the time doesn't start from 9 and doesn't end at 6, usually, right? It could be, I don't know, very early morning meeting or late evening events, right? So this is for the sales folk. The last group of people is actually people that work in the branch, okay? Because we're selling, if you're not noticed, we're actually selling bubble tea. So all this bubble tea shop here, these are the people that work at the branch selling bubble tea, okay? These people work on a scheduled shift. Okay, so far so good. You're all okay with the best company, CSM Company Limited. Cool. Okay, so this is the scenario that I have here. Okay, the next thing that we'll look at is how we can set shift. Okay, I'll skip mobile setting for a bit, but I'll get back to it later. All right, so for shift settings here, shift is the place where you list down all the time that your people would work. The time patterns that I'm talking about here, you can divide it into as many different shifts as possible that fits your organization's structure. What I have on my screen here is the default shift, right? The default shift, if you want to see what it is, we can click on edit here. Okay, so this is how default shift looks like. First, it has a name. Mine is called default shift. You can call it HQ staff, whatever, like totally up to you. The system is asking, is this default shift is a shift on your work day, off day, or holiday, right? Of course, for me, it's on my work day, right? And this is the time where I set the timing of this particular shift. So my default shift is a fixed timing starting from today from 9 a.m. and it ends on the same day, which is today at 6 p.m. And this is the time where you need to clock out. Okay, now it gets a little bit complicated with the rules or in the middle of the screen here. We have to make a decision on how early that our people, office people, can come in and clock in. Okay, I'll let it sing a little bit. How early can they clock in? Okay, in this case, I allow them to clock in 1 hour early, which means they can clock in starting from 8 a.m. Okay, if they clock in earlier than that, it doesn't count as working hour unless you decided to give that an OT, okay, which we will cover towards the later part. Now, again, what about when these people coming in late? How many minutes you will consider it as late in? Okay, late in, how many minutes? Make your decision here. What if they're coming very late? Very late in this case is so late that the system is marked it as half day, no record. You did not have any record. Okay, would it be 1 hour or would it be 45 minutes? That's totally up to you. Okay, leave balance in the widget. Okay, yes, but I'll show you how it looks like in a bit. Okay, actually, there are even more detail if you were to click on more rules. We also have ability to click to set the very late in here. So not only late in, but very late. Okay, how many minutes is considered very late? Okay, this is something that you need to make decisions. Same goes to when you clock out. How early can you let them clock out? Okay, that's definitely not what I intended to have. You can clock out maximum 30 minutes early than 6 p.m. So you can clock out at 5:30. Okay. And early out, how early? Okay. This is something for you to make a decision on. All right. Sorry, I did not catch the question, but I'll get back to that later. Okay, once you're happy with your setting, click on confirm. And this is how you can set the shift that is appearing like this. Okay, now as you can see, if you recall on my Best CSM Company Limited, we have people working at the branch, and of course they work in shift. So I will go in and also make that shift. My bubble tea shop, we're working very hard. We open 24 hours, right? So in here, I have 3 shifts here, okay, which is breakdown according to this timing. Okay, now this portion here is simple as that. It's very straightforward. But one thing for you to remember is that you need to list down every shift that cover everybody in your company. Okay, it is more straightforward if you do not have people that work in shifts. Right, you can just have Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 for the entire company. Okay, so far so good. Shift clear. Okay, cool. Now, let's do some little gaming here. If you remember in my company, let me do some presentation mode. Okay. So in my company just now, what I'm going to introduce you is that Lark Attendance, we have 3 different kind of shift settings. Okay, we have fixed shift, free shift, and schedule shift. Okay, fixed meaning to say you're working at the same date at the same time every day on a daily basis. Which day you're working, that's totally up to you to set. Okay, but basically it is the same for and everyone start and end at the same time. Free shift is more flexible, right? When people need to have early hour or late evening and they still need to clock in and out. During the day, they probably need to clock in and out multiple times, right? Especially if you want to track where they are and what time they're working and things like that. Okay, and the last one is for the people at the branch, which is the schedule shift. So they work on the schedule basis. Now I want to play a little game here first. Okay, I have, if you still remember this, right? Let's make a guess, okay, on what kind of shift that you will be giving to the HQ staff. If you are using fixed shift, give me a thumbs up. If you think it should be a phrase shift, give me a smile. And the shadow shift, you give me a clap. Which one do you think HQ people would? Yes, you're right, you're right. All of you get it right. Of course, these people are working on the same date, same time every year. That is definitely a fixed shift. What about people at the branch? At the branch, the bubble tea shop, which one would you? Yes, cool. I think all of you got it right. Your all choose schedule shift. That is correct. Okay, and of course, people who are in sales, they come in and out of office. That will be phrase shift. Okay, so all good with this? Everybody is clear on shift settings? If yes, we will go back to one of the most important part, which is the group settings. Okay, before I touch on group, the very simple rule here is one person in your company can only be in one group at a time. Okay, one person in one group at a time. I'll let that sink for a second. Okay, makes sense? One person cannot be on a scheduled shift and also on a free shift, right? So when you make a move of these people from one group to another, you need to make a decision whether you want it to take effect immediately or starting from tomorrow. Okay, that is rule number one. One person per group, one person in a group at a time. However, the group itself can have multiple shifts. Think about the people that work in my bubble tea shop, right? One person cannot cover 3 shifts, right? They will die, right? So the one group, this person is in the schedule group, right? But they have multiple shifts that they can work on. Okay, so one group can have multiple shifts. Okay, so far so good. In order to create a shift here, you can click on plus new here. And I want to draw your attention to the top left-hand corner. We have 4 things to set here, okay? The first is the basic info, and then shift, and then we have attendance method and attendance setting. The simplest thing that I can explain you on these 4 things is, for the first one, which is the basic info, it's all about who is managing this attendance group, who is it impacting, right? Who is under this group? It's all about the who. Okay, first thing first, you will need to give this attendance group a name first, and then make a group owner. In this case, it's me because I'm setting it up, but of course I can add more people as well. Okay, there is also the permission that is called sub owner, group sub owner here. If you hover over the letter I there, you'll be able to see what's the difference. Basically, this person can only do a schedule of shift, which I'll show you later, and also export group data. They can't really come in and make changes on the settings. Okay, so if you are allowing the team to manage this themselves, they might only need to be subgroup owner, but that's totally up to you. Okay. The next thing, very important, and I say that again, very important. The reason I said it's very important is that if you miss this step and you make it wrong, there's no other way to correct it. You have to start from scratch. You can miss out on anything except this one, okay, which is the time zone. Make sure you choose the time zone correctly. Repeat again, make sure you choose the time zone before you click on confirm. This is one field that you cannot make change once this is set up, okay? If you choose it wrong, start again from scratch, all right? Yes, I repeat that 3 times already. I hope nobody have to do this once again. All right, let me choose here Singapore. Where's Singapore? Okay, I'm not going to choose here this. We also have some options for you in multiple multinational company. When people move around, there are chances that people are relocating from other region into your region, right? This feature here allows you to automatically roll them into this particular attendance group when their geolocation match what you're setting. Okay, so that is the upper part of the who. Now the critical thing is we're setting this group and who will be under this group. This is where you can come in and choose the member who will be working under this attendance group. Okay, you have option to choose the entire company. If your company structure is very flat, nobody work at a different shift, perfect. That's very easy. Come in here, click all, and that's it. But if this is only going to manage certain people in certain department, you can come in here and pick and choose the department or the member from here. Okay. And once that is done, remember these people will be required to clock in and out. Okay. However, there will be people, although sitting in the same group, but their time tracking is actually optional. Very likely is for, let's say, the executives, right? By default, their attendance is marking as in, right? It's by default. You don't even need to clock in out, right? We are not going to bother them, okay? Okay, I'll get back to that question in a bit. All right. So in this case, same goes if there are any member that has to be in this group, they're working on a fixed shift, but their time clocking in and out is not required. You can come in and then custom put in the person's name here or their list. All right, so far so good. Yeah, cool. Now the next thing, which is the shift section here. Okay, just now the basic info is for the who, right? The shift is all about when is their working hours. This is where you come and pick and choose. Remember these three things: fixed shift, shadow shift, and free shift that I was talking about, right? You need to make sure first that you choose this shift type correctly. Okay, out of these three shift here, what time does these people work? Right? What kind of shift that these people work? Is it fixed, schedule, or free? Now, after you choose the shift type, you will need to come and pick and choose the actual working hour of these people. Like I said, this is all about when, right? So this is where we can come and change. Okay, Monday, you're working from 9 to 6. Some company probably have early leave on Friday. You probably end at 5, things like that. You can totally customize it here. Okay. And at the bottom here, this is also, this is actually the reason why we set on a holiday calendar to start with, because this will be impacting everybody in the company. So in here, schedule settings here, you can set this to consider the public holiday that you have. Again, you can pick and choose the default calendar that we have for you here, but if you scroll down at the very bottom, this is the calendar that you have created for your own company. So this is how you can associate that public holiday calendar together with this attendance group. Okay. Okay, I hope everybody is following. I can't see your reactions. That's quite difficult to judge, but I hope you're following. Okay, cool. Now, the next thing is quite important. The next thing is also about how are you letting them clock in. Okay, we are on the third step here, attendance method here, and it's all about the how. Okay, we have two options for you here. The first one is to clock in and out by GPS. Okay, it will automatically capture the employees' GPS location of their mobile phones in order to locate them. Okay, to do so, the first step you need to do is to tell the system where exactly is the location that you allow them, to mark them that they have already arrived. right? So in here, I will put in the HQ of the best CSM company limited. Let's make it in Singapore. Our office is at 1, like that, okay? So search this in the map here, and we have a radius for you. The minimum radius that we have right now is within 100-meter radius. All right, this radius here is very important because they will not be able to clock in until they are within this radius. Okay, how can they check? Right, people would probably tell you, but I'm there, but I can't clock in. No, you can actually the employee can actually tap in to check how far they are from the radius from their mobile phone. Okay, so it is very clear cut whether or not the person is within the radius. Okay, so that is your step 1. Set the HQ or wherever the location that you want. The second option is to clock in by Wi-Fi. This will require you to import the MAC address of your router into the system. And once the employee is within the Wi-Fi signal radius, they will be able to clock in. Okay, you don't need to choose both. I would recommend choose only one that match your situation better. All right, so we have 3 things here. We have the who, we have the when, we have the how. That is basically set for this attendance group. Okay, but can we set? Yes, you can set multiple area. Yes, you can, no problem at all. Okay, for some company, I want to draw your attention to this option here first before you consider whether you need to have multiple location. Okay, if you have multiple office, sure, go ahead, set all your office location on the list. Okay, but what about when the employee go out and meet customer, right? It's not possible for us to set all our customers' office in the list. It doesn't make sense. So in that case, we actually have this option for you here. Yes, Andrea, there will be a recording, don't worry. Okay, there is an option for you to do this here, off-site attendance, which allow them to clock in when they are not in the designated area. Okay, I actually have a video to show you how it looks like on the employees end when they clock out with off-site attendance. Okay, but first thing first, on our list here, do you require them to take photo when they clock in? Okay, if yes, you need to tick in here as well. Okay, the rest are pretty much very detailed. Let's say, for example, if they are out of office, if they are on business trip, what if they are on half-day leave? Do you need them to clock in or out or not, right? All this detail, I can't really make decision. It's purely based on your company preference. So come here and have a clear detail of your operation first before you can come in and tick. This one though, quite important. This is about overtime record, okay, which I will address it again when we talk about overtime later. But basically, the system is asking, how do you want the system to capture your employees' overtime? Okay, we have 3 different options, which I'll walk you through in a little bit. Okay, very good question. This one, we got it very often. Face recognition and fingerprint identification do not have that feature yet. But if your device to do face recognitions or fingerprint scanning have API, you can try to integrate it into Lark. But that will be from your device, use API, and then put the data into base. It will not be technically you can still sync it to approval, but that will be from your attendance, your machine device, and then sync both to base. But short answer to that, no, we don't. Okay, cool. Okay, let me see what else I have here. Oh, okay, corrections. Right, this is what I talked to you about earlier. When something's wrong, people make mistakes. I forgot to clock in. Do you allow me to correct myself? If yes, what are the type that you allow me to make change? if I forget to clock in, can I request a no record correction? What if I come late? Can I change the timing? I actually come early, but I clock in late. This kind of thing, right? These are the things that you have to come in and make choice, whether you want or you allow them to make change on the time and the actual timing or no. And also the number of times that they can request, right? Some company put this like 10 days a month. So you can request only up to 10 times for correction only. Now at the bottom here, honestly speaking, to me is a little bit is less important, but just so you know that it is available. So first, do you allow them to clock in by computer? If yes, tick here. Okay, these 4 options here is only related to the employees working on the first day of their working with you and the last day. Okay, on the first day that they come in as a new joiner, do they need to clock in? What about the first day? Do they need to clock out? And same goes to the last day of their employment as well. Do you need them to clock in or out? All right. Last option here is actually to configure the interface for the employee, right? Do you allow them to see how many overtime hours that they have been doing this month? What about the overtime hours? Very good question. Can we translate overtime to leave? Yes, I will show you when we talk about overtime. Okay. Cool. All right. So simple as that. I mean, this is a lot of detail, really a lot of detail. So my advice to you is only set the feature that is required. The rest, you just need to know that it is available. My company doesn't need it. Okay. Simple as that. We just click on confirm and you will have attendance group like this. Okay, now after we have the attendance group ready, what we'll do next is, let me touch on the mobile setting first. This is actually to control what are the things that your employee can see on their mobile device. Okay, you can set up a rules here and choose who does this mobile interface applies to, right? And this is how it would look like here. Okay, you can pick and choose, and very similar to other feature of Lark, where you see this option here, it's available for a drag and drop. Okay, like that. Okay, simple as that. Yeah. So far, so good. Is everybody still with me? Okay, cool. All right, we have already covered the front part, which is the attendance settings here. If you have any question about this, feel free to put it in the chat. We'll have time to answer that later. Alrighty. Now, after the first part here, I want to bring your attention to the second last option, which is pretty much related to the group setting as well, which is overtime, right? I know there's a lot of overtime here, which I want to address. Okay, so let's do overtime management. Let me have a quick check on this. Okay, okay, sorry. Before we go to overtime, let me show you how it looks like first on the employee's end. Okay, I will do a presentation mode here. Hopefully this video play. Okay, cool. So this one on the left here, this is the video when the employee do a clock off-site clock in. Okay, I will also explain you what happened during this video as well. So first thing first, when they go in, search on attendance, as you can see, okay, I'll pause here. The screen is asking them, do you want to remote clock in? Okay, as the word suggests, it's actually out of range that the admin allows them to, but the admin also allow them to do off-site clock in. That is why this feature is available. Okay, and it is also during the working hour that is assigned to this person. That's why the option is available for them. So now after clicking on clock in, you'll see this one use GPS location. So the system actually locate where the phone is right now. Okay. And then you're required to take photo. The employee will tap on the photo, take a photo here. Okay. By right, it should be a selfie, but obviously I was just wake up at that time, so I didn't do a selfie. And if you want, you can ask them to add a note here as well. And that's all they need to do. Clocking in, simple as that. Okay, as you notice, after they clock in, there's a word offsite next to the record timing as well. This is to show that you are clocking in, but you're not within the area that is designed. Okay, now on the right hand side here, this is attendance user. Let me have a quick look here. I'll show you. Okay, so again, so in here, this is where they can, okay, sorry, this one is slightly too big to see. Okay, let me start again. This one here actually shows you, after all the settings that we have just done, how it looks like on the employee's end. Okay, so first thing first, this is their Lark account. They go to attendance, okay, choose the one that says app. This shows them, okay, you have already clocked in this morning, now waiting to clock out, right? At the bottom here, they will be able to click. Right now, just now I was in the attendance tab here. Now I click on the request tab, and this is where you can see all the requests that is enabled for this user. Right? If you notice, that was step number 2 that we talk about, right? Asking for collections, the leave, the overtime, and it's all in here. Let's say I want to make change on the clock in that I just did. So I click on correction. The system will ask me, which day are you talking about? Okay, which day you want to make change? This was the original record, what time that you want to change it into, and what was the reason, right? And then I click, even before I click submit, I will be able to see what is the approval process. I'll get back to that later. Sorry, I didn't read fast enough. Okay, and then we click on submit. This will go through the approval process, okay? And this is the leave request, which I will also show you in a little bit as well. You can also request for leave here. Okay, now I am on the report tab. You remember you configure them to be able to see how many working hours and OTs that they have done. In here, I am still under group, so I'll change it to personal. So this is my own data, not my group's data. And this is where I can see all my report. And this is the mobile report that we configure. All right, so this is just to show you what the experience would be like for the employee when they really clock in and out. Okay, so far so good. Still with me? If I managed to confuse you guys today, that's, job half done. Okay, all right. So hopefully everybody is okay so far, right? We will go through the overtime management after this. All right. I'll probably not cover. Can you put in manually? I wouldn't recommend, but instead of doing that, we'll talk about that on the leave. To answer you, I would recommend them I would recommend you to allow them to come back and file that later. If the leave is so urgent, you can get better first. After you come back, file the leave. Okay, instead of doing it for them. All right, so let's do overtime rules here. Okay, I have quite a number of rules that I have already set up, but don't worry, we have a look together. I'll click on new first. Okay, and of course, first, like every other thing on Lark, you need to give it a name. OT4. Okay, and then we'll choose who is this OT rules apply, right? Of course, I will need to put I was meant to put Sydney. Yes. Okay. So this OT rules only apply to Sydney. Okay. Now the next thing is I click next at the top here. On the top left, this is something for you to take note of. you have to set overtime for 3 different working days. Okay, first is the work day, the normal work day according to your shift. Okay, the second one is the non-work day. Non-work day in this case, especially for the shadow shift, those people have off day, right? And their off day is probably not a Saturday or Sunday. So this OT for non-work day will apply to them directly. For those who are not on a scheduled shift, non-work day, let's say, for example, they need to come in on a Saturday. It's not a holiday, right? It's just not a working day. This rule will apply to them, okay? And again, on holiday, right? So the setting-wise, which is in the middle of the screen here, is actually repeated, but depending on the type of day that we're talking about. Okay, let's look at first one. So I'm now setting OT on work day, okay? Monday to Friday for us, right? First thing first, do you allow to do OT on work day? Okay, of course, we want to set it here, so we allow, right? We should allow. Second thing is, what is the unit that you ask them to do OT? Is it by hour, by minute, or by day? By day is a little bit exaggerated, but just so you know, it is available. Okay, and this one here is the rounding method. Let's say you go by minute, or hour. Do you want them to round up? Especially if it is a minute here, right? You need to round. Otherwise, you don't need to round. You just probably round off to 5, which is the easiest option, and it's crystal clear for everybody. Now, of course, it will be 8 hours equal to 1 day, right? But if your working hour or if you count differently, feel free to change here. Now, the most important thing ever on approval or on overtime is this option here. How do you calculate the overtime hours? It is matter because it relates to the pay, right? To some people, the overtime directly impact their pay. So this setting here will control how the overtime is calculated. We have 3 options for you. First is only the overtime that is approved is counted. What I mean by that is, before you can even do overtime, you need to submit a request and it is approved. Now, whatever time that has been approved, that consider your overtime calculation. Okay, although you work beyond that, whatever beyond your approved hour is not counted. Okay, everybody with me for the first option? Okay, the second option is a little bit more strict, I would say. It's not only the approved overtime hours, but it's also their clock in out of their overtime hours will be counting in too. Meaning to say the time that we calculated will be the intersection between the time you really clock in and out during overtime and the time that you're allowed to do. Okay, for example, if I ask for overtime from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. today, but actually by the time I clock in, it's already 7:30, right? And I clock out at 8:30. The overtime hour is only 1 hour between 7:30 and 8:30, which is the intersection between what is approved and what I actually clock in. So this is the most strict rule. Okay. The last one, you put a lot of trust on your employee and you only take in their clock in and out of overtime hour as the calculation. You don't even need to ask for approval. Do whatever overtime you need. Will take whatever time the clock in and out day time that you do as overtime hours. Okay? Is everybody clear with this option? If you want me to repeat that again, happy to. Okay, just want to make sure that everybody get this understanding right. Can we set only for, yes, you can. Remember my basic info, the first option? You can only choose one person. I also only choose Sydney, right? This rule only apply to Sydney, no one else in the company. Yeah? Okay. All right. Now, there is a question earlier about how, oh, because for overtime, some company also allow them to work before the working hour. Remember, I told you if my shift starts at 9, but I come in at 7, do you allow? Can Sydney, sorry, it it moved away so fast I couldn't read. But basically, other people will not be able to see Sydney's schedule or OT allowance. No. Okay, cool. Okay. There's also option for you to allow them to do OT before their shift start, before their work start. Yes, I'm about to reply you that this one here, before work and after work, is it allowed, or even during break, right? If you allow, you have to specify the information. For example, only if less than 30 minutes before your shift start, it will not count as overtime. It has to be way before your shift starts. Or after 30 minutes after your shift ends, that also doesn't count as overtime. It's still so-called, you're probably ramping down on your shift and things like that. So that's not counted. In many countries, there's also a law that requires you to have a 30 minutes break between after your shift ends before your overtime can start. Okay, so you can set it here. Now, here is the more rules about minimum overtime hours. Do you have a minimum overtime hours? If yes, how many minutes it is? Yeah, or at least how many minutes long? All these are very, very detailed here. Some more thing here is the break included, right? Most of the time break is not included, right? So if it's not, you can click on no. Now, earlier on, somebody asked, can I convert the time? Like if I pay overtime, can I choose whether I want to get paid or I want to get my time off instead? The question is, yes, you can. And that is under the compensation portion of the OT. Okay, so in here, by default, the first option is overtime pay, right? Again, in some country, it is illegal to convert to time as well, but not every country, so we have this option, right? I want to draw your attention to this one because it will also related to the next topic that I'll talk about, which is the leave management, okay? If you choose to convert the overtime hours into leave, you will need to create a leave that is available for you to choose from here, which I'll talk about it in a minute. Okay, but this is how you can convert the time and you can specify the ratio if it is not 1-to-1. Okay, and once the overtime hour is done, they can convert that into hours on this particular type of leave that they have. All right, so far so good. Everybody is good with overtime? Cool. All right. Cool. So I guess everybody can go back and set up the overtime for their company now. All right. Same goes, okay? When you look at non-work day, the setting is exactly the same. The rules probably change, but this is the flexibility that we offer. So you can come and make change. If for example, the overtime pay is not 1-to-1 because it's non-work day, right? It is also available here. Okay, this option here is a little bit special, I feel, which is you let the employee choose if they want money or they want time off. That is totally up to you. Okay, same goes for holiday, which means you will need to come in here, repeat this setting 3 times and customize it into whether it's a work day, non-work day, or holiday. All right, cool. I think we're good with the OT now. Oh, okay. With all this is also we also have the detail, the records of the overtime that people have done. So you can feel free to come in here and pull, export or import the data from here. Okay. Now, One of the most complex thing to do on attendance is to set leave. Okay, time check. All right, half an hour, we're good. Cool. Now we're towards the latest part of our session today. I'll talk about leave management. Okay. In leave management here, first you will need to click on leave type. Okay. And if you notice the one in gray, it's slightly fade here, but yes, it's in gray. These are created by default by the system. But if you look towards the right-hand side, you'll see that it is not enabled yet, right? That's why it's in grayish. The one that is in white, which I have only 3 here, it is already activated, as you can see the status. Okay, so first thing first, we will create the leave type. So I'll click on the top top left-hand corner here, and you'll find that we have 4 different leave type available for you. Okay, usually there's not much of a difference between the first and the second one. The general template can also be used for annual leave. So usually, I mean, totally up to you. I do not see much different when it comes to the settings. So feel free to use any of this interchangeably. Okay, the next one is the breastfeeding for mommy who's breastfeeding. You can also set up the lactation break. This kind of break means you're on a break at the same time every day, and that is automatically approved. Like your boss doesn't need to approve when you're going to pump, those kinds. So much more convenient, right? The latest one, which we just talked about in the overtime, is the compensatory leave template. Okay, this one in particular, if you are setting or if you're setting the leave in order to convert your overtime hours to leave, you need to use this type of leave template. Okay, so for now, I'll be using the general template first. Okay, again, just like every other thing, right, you need to give it a name. Okay, this one would be I don't know if you have this, but personal leave. Yeah, it's something personal. Okay. After I named it, of course, I will need to have the owner, right? Who can make change on these leave settings later, right? So it will be me and it will be Bowen. Okay. The next thing is, who is this leave applied to? Is it applied to everybody or is it custom? Think about the lactation break just now, right? It doesn't make sense if it applies to a gentleman, right? So in here, you have option to pick and choose the custom. Like example, just now you can choose gender and then equal to female to only apply to all the women in the office. Okay, simple as that. Who is this applied to? And the next important thing is, what is the minimum leave unit that they can request it for? Is it per hour, per minute, half day, or is it a day? Okay, these are something to make decisions on as well. My personal leave here, I'll make it a half day at the minimum. Okay, and my day means it's equal to 8 hours. Now, yes, the super admin can do it. Okay. In some company, even some company that I work for, we have unlimited leave, right? If you have unlimited leave, sure, your setting is done. You don't need to do anything else. Bye, we can go back home. But most or 99% of the company, of course, the leave is limited. So we have to choose limited here and then click on next at the bottom right-hand side. Oopsie. Oh. Department include Sydney. Thank you, Sydney, for being my test subject today. Okay. All right, this will only apply to Sydney. Okay. Cool. Now, everybody, I want your focus a little bit because this part can be quite confusing, right? All right. First thing first, we'll look at no, the answer is no. They need to have Lark account. Okay. First thing is the cycle. Okay. when are you granting this leave? We have quite a number of options for you. Annually, semi-annually, monthly, or you just want to import this manually, also possible, right? For my personal leave, I'll choose annual. It's granted on an annual basis. So 1 year, you only get it once, okay? Now, after we set how often is this granted, the system is asking, and when are we granting it? This start from is when is this leave granted? We have two options for you here. We have their employment date and specific date. Okay, I'll let it sink. How often are you granting and when are you granting it? Okay, employment date here will depend on the date that they started the employment with your company, which means you need to have this information on the admin console. Otherwise, the system will not know when to grant this employee this leave, right? If you want to know where it is, I'll quickly show you here. I am back on the admin console. I'll go to organization, member, and department. Okay, I will search for the person. Oh, I should search for Sydney. Okay, here. And then on the right-hand side, this is her profile. I'll go to job detail, and this is her date of employment. The system will only take this date in consideration when it comes to attendance setting. No other date, okay? So make sure that this employment date is set up correctly. All right. Okay, so now we have how often and when are we granting? And this would be how are we granting it? How in this case mean, do you give everything in one go? Or do you gradually give them, which means prorated? Okay. If some of you have already confused, yay, congratulations, I'm successful. Right? Kidding. So, okay, let me show you something which is hopefully will make this clearer to you. Okay, if you remember, we have two options for grant date, right? Which is specific date and employment date, and whether you want it all at once or do you want to prorate them. Okay, this scenario here is for my annual leave, okay, annual leave, and I have 12 days entitlement for a year. So quick calculation, that's roughly about 1 day per month. 1 day per month, okay? If you are granting on a specific date, assuming that the specific date is on January 1st, if you grant all at once, meaning to say January 1st of every year, employees will get 12 days in their pocket. Okay? So far, so good. Any emoji for me if you're good? The specific date all at once. Okay, cool. Now, if you're granting on employment date, but grant all at once, the day that the leave will be granted will be the employee's work anniversary because that is their employment date. Okay, but again, they still get 12 days in their pocket. Just that it's not everybody will get it on a random day because that depends on when they join the company. It's not on a specific date and month of the year. All right, so that's the difference between granting all at once, but specific date and employment date. Now, the confusion will always come in when you need to prorate something, right? Let's look at the first option, which is in green first. Okay, if we are granting on a specific date and we prorated it, okay, it actually take into consideration when exactly are we talking about. Let's say, for example, today is January 23rd, okay? They have only worked for 23 days in this year in order to claim these 12 days. So the calculation will be 23rd, which is the overall this year, overall day that you have been working, divided by 365 and times number of days that you have entitled, which means if I were to go into request for this, I will have 0.75 days. Okay, I get one thumbs up here. Two more. Everybody following? Okay, sorry, I'll have to get back to that question later. Okay, perfect. Now, what about the employment date? And we even grant it by day. So even prorate it even tinier. Remember in this scenario here, it's 12 days per year, right? Each month you only get 1 day, right? When we talk about prorated, the day that they get of every day that they work is even tinier, right? And when they will get it, only on their anniversary. So starting from their anniversary, they will be the little days that they have. So here is my here is my calculation for you. So assuming that the start date is on January 15, right, which is only 8 days ago, right? You come in the company 8 days and you want to know how many leave that you have received. So what you do is you take the number of days that they have worked starting from their employment date, 8 days, divided by 365 times the number of entitlement, which is 12. So far, working for 8 days, you have already got 0.26 days leave. Everybody with me? I hope for a thumbs up. Yes. Okay, cool. Good. Perfect. So let's do a little math calculation here. Thank you, Sydney, for being my subject again. Okay. So here's my example, guys. So Sydney started at the Best DSM Company Limited on March 17 last year. March 17 last year. Each year, you have 18 days of entitlement of annual leave, and it is granted by day on January 1st of every year. Okay. This leave expires immediately after the cycle ends. How many leave days does she have right now? I hope you guys are working on your calculator. Okay. 10 more seconds. Anybody want to make a guess? If you do, feel free to put in the number. Okay, if you're still quite confusing about this, don't worry. We can come back to this later. I'll walk you through how the setting is first. Maybe after that, hopefully you'll come back and it's much clearer than this. All right? Okay, or if anybody wants to try now, I'm happy to. Okay, no, let's go back to attendance first. Now, just now we were talking about how often, when is it granted? Okay, yes, we'll talk about that right now. Okay, and then the frequency, right? In the column below here, this is the number of days. Dev, are you sure? Okay, we can go and have a look later. Okay, cool. Let's see. If anybody wants to try, give an answer. Please feel free to put in the chat. We can have a look in a bit. All right. Come back, guys. Come back here first. Okay. This is how you can set leave days. We have quite a number of options for you here. In some country, for example, China, the longer you work in your entire employment, okay, not only within this company, but your entire employment, you'll get higher number of leaves. Or in short, if you're older, you get more leaves. That is quite sad to say, but it is what it is. Okay, so if your company is following that rules, we have this based on seniority option. But majority of the company that I work with is pretty much fixed. Right. So in this case, if your leave is fixed on a yearly basis, it doesn't increase through times, you can choose fixed and then make sure you put in the number of days that you have here, right? So each cycle, the cycle that we're talking about is granted annually, right? And how many days that you're granting. Now, we also have the rounding rules here, but totally up to you. You can round it off, round up or down, or no rounding. Perfectly okay. Okay. And for the question just now, it's about valid through, right? What if the example just now, Sydney did not use any leave, right? Does the leave expire? And if it does, when is it expiring? Okay, so we have quite a number of options here. After the cycle ends, right? Immediately after the cycle end, or do you have a grace period of how many days or months, right? Most of the company will say, okay, you have to use whatever rollover leave that you did not use last year, this year within February or March or April. That's totally up to you. Okay. And this one is another option, but also more detailed. So we set the months first after the accrue date, right? So it's actually very similar to the first option. So it's totally up to you which one you want to choose. Some company wants it to expire on a particular date and time, 15th January. That also possible if you want to set it that way. If I have no leave this year, sorry, I did not catch that. No worry, we'll come back to that later. Or the last option, which is so kind of you, the leave is not expired at all. Okay, it has totally up to how you want to choose it. Okay, we're towards the bottom of the screen right now, and this only applies to new employee. Okay, new employee that I'm referring to is the employee that is starting within this current year, which is 2025. Okay, so by default, on their first year, their rules will only depending on, it's only prorated on their employment date, no other option. Okay, except it is sick leave. That's slightly different, right? Because sick leave, they should be entitled no matter how early or how old they are with your company. All right, so this is basically the how we can set the cycle, the number of days, and also the validity, right? The next option, now a lot of people are asking me, what if I don't let people who do not pass the probation to take leave, right? We do have that option available. So in here, it is under leave rules that you can set such rules, okay? In details, this will be very useful for certain leave type. For example, supporting documents. Do you need an MC if this is a sick leave? If yes, after a certain number of days or no matter what, even one day, you also need MC. It is here where you can set it, okay? This here is more of a detail on, let's say I have 6 personal day leave that I was setting, right? Can I put all the 6 days next to each other and take a one whole chunk of leave? Do you allow that? If yes, you need to choose unlimited here. If you do not allow that to happen, you have to set fixed and then how many number of days that you can put it together. Okay. The rest are pretty much, this one is important here. Who can submit this request? This setting controls whether the people who are still in probation can request the leave type. Okay, everybody with me so far? Yes, no, yes? Okay, at least, okay, sounds clear, good, cool. Okay, so let's say your probation is 4 months, which is 120 days. You will need to come here and pick and choose employee who have been with the organization for over 120 days. Then they can take leave. Now, let me make this clear. Within these 120 days, it doesn't mean that we do not grant them leave, okay? The leave will continue to be granted, to grant to them. The only difference is that when they try to request for such leave, the system will tell you that, look, you need to be with the company more than 120 days first before you can take this leave. Okay, but the leave is in your pocket, just that you can't grab it right now. Okay, that's the point of setting this. All right. And the last one is more on if I have number of leave, like a lot of leave, and I am taking sick leave right now. I'm on sick leave. But tomorrow, can I take personal leave? Can I do that? Do you allow me to do so? No. If yes, allow. If not, come and click don't allow. And in many companies, leave have their priorities, which is not equal, right? Especially people with kids, they might want to use the childcare leave before to finish that first before they use other portion. So this is where you can set the priorities of those leave. If let's say, for example, if I still have my child leave, which is more than 0, I will need to use that one first before I can use personal leave, for example. All right. So I hope this clears a little bit on leave setting. I want to actually go back to the same question here. Okay, let's analyze this together, okay? So Sydney joined the best CSM company. Oh, okay, 18.197. Okay. Let's have a look together, okay? So she joined March 17 last year. And I said it's granted on a yearly basis on January 1st, but everything expires immediately after the cycle ends. Repeat. Everything expires immediately after cycle ends. Which means whatever leave that Sydney has in January 2024 has already expired. Yes, you're right. It's already expired. Right? So whatever leave that she has is only what has already been granted to her this year. Hey, now you know. Yes. Okay. So I actually put March 17 2024 just to trick you off. So the answer to this, anybody wants to help me? Yes. So, okay. We will take this, right? We'll take this example here to calculate Sydney, which is the by day option in green. Okay. And today is the 23rd divided by 365 and times 18. That is the answer. Okay. Everybody with me? I hope you at least clearer on how you calculate this a little bit. If your employee come and question you, you can confidently say, look, last year your leave has already expired. We told you to finish it. You did not, so you forfeited. Okay? All right. Now I have my question tool here. Okay, time conscious. Let's have a look at this one first. Okay, let's do it together here. So Sydney started at the best CSM company on March 17, 2024. We have 18 days of entitlement granted prorated. Okay, it's by day on employment date. On employment date. And also expires immediately after cycle ends. Assuming that she hasn't taken any leave this year yet, okay? How many leave that she has today? I will leave about 20 seconds for you to sing this. Okay. Oh, 4.5 days. Yep. Okay, good try. Okay, if some of you read the question and you feel like this question doesn't make sense, you're actually on the right track. Okay, the reason is, okay, it is granted on employment date, but today is only January 23rd. It's not even yet March 17, 2025 yet, which means the leave that Sydney is getting this year is not even granted. How many she has left, I don't know, but it is the number that she has last year and she hasn't used. Okay. Everybody with me so far? So the answer to this is, I can't tell you. If you want to check, you have to go to your leave request and check how many leave you have left. But for now, the leave this year is not yet granted. That's all we can tell. Hence, there is a clown there. Okay. I hope this clear a little bit. Give me some signal if you're good with this. Yes, thank you. That's what I need. All right. Okay. So we're towards the very end of our session. I am time check. Okay, I have 7 more minutes here. All right. So today we have covered majority of this. The last thing that I want to show you is the leaf balance, okay, which is here. In here, you can come in and import or export the leave request or leave balance that each of these employee have. There was a question earlier on whether or not you can go in and make change. The answer is yes, and this is where you can do so. Okay, I am under leave management here, leave balance. Let's go to my name here. In here or at the top, you will see all the different leave type here. Yes, Sunny, don't worry. If I confuse you, I'm successful. Okay. All right. We're almost there. We're almost there. Okay. Don't worry. You can always go back and review what I say. Now, in here, this is where you can come in and modify the leave balance. Okay. If somebody need to have, if there's rollover, they did not use, there's something wrong, they work on a special day, they need extra day off, the admin can come in and make change. You can add more days, more hours. No, they cannot see other people's leave. They can only see their own. Okay. Same goes, you can also remove it. Okay. And then you choose which day are you granting this particular leave and explain a little bit. Okay. Explain a little bit why you manually make change. This way, in the case that we're no longer with the company or we're moving to a new role, some people that take over the role can understand why is this leave granted or removed from the admin console. Okay, so here is where you can do so. All right, okay. I cover most of the thing here. So, okay, very good question. This actually bring me to thank you so much for asking, because that is towards the last thing that I want to show you here. I have a video of how you can request for leave, but how to set the approval layer, that has to be done on approval, which I will bring you to see in a little bit. All right. So actually, let me do that first so you know what the back end looks like. Okay. So first thing first, you need to be approval admin in order to see what I'm showing you right now. Okay, right now I am on the approval. I hope you're all familiar with approval. If not, we actually have a session on approval before this session, so feel free to review them. Okay, I am going to the back end by clicking on the admin console on the top right. Okay, this is where I set all the approval on my company. Okay, now one very important thing, guys, if you are creating an approval that is linked to attendance, okay, we need to search for the one that is called leave, like this. It is already created for you. Nobody created it. Okay, it's the system auto-generate. So you click on edit here. Okay. So in here, this is where you can modify it. Who can submit this request? Okay, is it specific person or everybody in the company? Since this is the leave in general, this should be available for all the people in the company. Okay, and form design, very important here. Okay, the form design, you need to use what is called widget group. If you choose the leave template, this one is by default already chosen for you. Okay, this one at the top here, this is used when the people that will be using this approval might not be familiar with English. You can also add the local language here if you want to. Okay, the very important thing is you must use the widget that is available. Okay, this has to be here in order to sync the data from approval in order to bring it here. But if you want to add more things, right? If you want them to explain you more stuff, you can still drag and drop the feature on the right here, whatever makes sense to make this form even more complex. But the key is you must remain using this widget group. Okay, the rest you can add, no problem at all. For now, I'll just delete it first. Does it make sense to me? Okay. Now, what happened after this? Leave balance. Okay, good, because I'll show you how it looks like on the user's end right now. The answer is it's automatically shown to you. Okay, so I'm happy with this. Now, the previous one, Andrea was asking, how do I set who is approving? This falls under step 3 under process design. So this is where you can come in and add approver and see how many layers of approval is all here. And this is pretty much on approvals end. So again, if you are not familiar with this, feel free to check out the approval video. Okay, the last thing, okay, 2 minutes left. I hope you guys don't mind. I'll probably overrun a little bit. Okay, if you allow them to revoke the change, I've requested for a leave. It's already approved, but I changed my mind. Can I change my mind? Do you allow me to change my mind? If yes, this is where you can control. Okay, the first 3 options here. First one is, if it is not yet approved, can I change my mind? If yes, tick on the first one. If it has already been approved, can I change my mind? I don't want this leave anymore. Can I do that? If yes, tick here. And then you pick and choose the number of days that you can revoke. Only within 31 days, right? That's what it meant. Okay, this is actually directly related to attendance because it controls the approval process after the request from attendance comes in. Okay, so bear with me for a bit. Okay, the last one is if I requested for 3 days leave, but I want to change it to 4 days, do you allow me to modify? If yes, tick here. Okay, so this is how you can control. Other than that, and I'm sure you're all familiar with approval, so I won't touch on this much, but let me quickly show you how it looks like on the user's end. Okay, so this is what they will do. Play. Okay, so in here, oops. Let me start from the beginning. Okay. Okay, let me see. So in here, okay, I need to wait for it to run for a while. I can't really speed up. But what I'm showing you here is actually when the person or the employee who hasn't yet worked for the company with longer than 120 days, this is what they will see when they try to submit. Okay, to answer some of your question, can the leave be shown when they require? Okay, so let's start from the beginning. I will go to approval to request for leave, right? I'll tap the plus sign here and then search for leave. Oops, search for the leave. And this is where I choose what kind of leave type that I'm requesting. And if you can see here, as you can see here, there is a bracket with the number of days they have left for that certain kind of leave. Okay, everybody with me? I'm 1 minute late, but I hope you're good. Okay, cool. So this is where you can see how many days of each leave type that you have. So proceed to put in what kind of leave type you want, which day you want to start, which day is ending time. The system will automatically calculate the duration for you. So now my duration, I only want half a day leave and I know I have 0.75 days, right? I should be able to take it. But after I put in the request, okay, even before I click submit, I am able to see what the process looks like. that is normal approval. However, when I click on submit, the system tells me, sorry, miss, you cannot get this. You haven't worked for the company for longer than 120 days. All right. Okay, so I also include what is the example on this video for sick leave and annual leave here as well. Okay, prorate still can see yes. No, whether it's prorate or grant all at once, you will be able to see how many days remain, because prorate also means you get granted every day, right? Just that the portion is much tinier. All right. I know I am 3 minutes late, but I hope I cover almost everything. Report is very straightforward. Basically, you can pull in the new report. We have 2 default one for you, but feel free to customize it. All right.
So from here, you may just scan the QR code here from the desktop, you can see, and make sure you are choosing the red option from the first question here. The session we are doing today is attendance training. So we are going to filter all the questions related to attendance, and to get back to the questions, the answers to your question, and release them to the post we are going to post tomorrow in the attendance, in the webinar group. Yeah, so make sure you are going to scan the QR code here, choose the red session we are doing, and you can see the third question is any suggestions, feedback, or the questions you have for this session, for the general usage, or for the product recommendation, or anything we could do better. So feel free to spread your voice and let us know your opinion on anything related to your daily Lark usage. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.